And the stream should have audio. And it looks like it has audio. All right.
I got some opening action.
Oh, yeah. I, too, have opening action. And stream looks good. And I heard audio come out of it, so we're definitely good. I got a new pipeline here. Oops. Don't want that mixing in. It's Thursday, June 7th, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, Indian food. Because we really are out of Thursday show ideas.
Is my microphone working? People
Yep.
complaining.
Your microphone is working.
People complaining.
Right now?
I don't know.
No one's complaining right now. No one said anything in the chat yet.
Good. Just keep it that
How
way.
would you know who was complaining? When? How would you know that?
For many times.
From what times? Name one time.
All these recent shows where you've had the mixer messed up.
Oh, and we just didn't stream at all because no one had audio.
And the audio because the thing was quiet.
Yeah, it wasn't because it was quiet. It was so the deal with that. I'll use this as my opening bit.
I got opening bit. You don't need one.
All right. Go for it then.
All right. You good?
Yeah.
All right. So at work, I got this new job in a new neighborhood. Well,
Yeah.
it's actually old neighborhood. It's the same neighborhood my previous job
You know what's crazy?
10 years ago was in.
I'm in the exact same boat. I recently got a new job, and I'm in the neighborhood where my job from 10 years ago was.
Anyway, so the problem is food situation down there. There's plenty of places to get food, but a lot of them are very expensive. There are some cheap ones.
Oh, Cry Me a River. I'm in Midtown next to Grand Central.
All right, but
It's either Pret or a $12
But the
sandwich.
thing is, even at least in Midtown, I could go to the Everything Deli, and there were some Everything Delis there that were good. Down in Soho, there's like one Everything Deli, and it's gross.
Yeah.
And basically, all the good food is fancy. There's some food that is cheap and not fancy. I can go to Chinatown, or I can go to like the banh mi place. That's about it, though. So it's like if you eat the cheap food, you're going to be eating the same food every day, which is no good.
Yeah.
So I tried to find a different solution. My previous solution used to be to bring bread, peanut butter, and jelly to work and make sandwiches and, keep it cheap. But I really don't want to eat peanut butter and jelly every day anymore like I used to.
Well, I made a conscious decision. In fact, we thought about doing this show on lunch, and we looked up, and sure enough, we did a show on lunch, and I said something in that show, and I'll say it again now, because it's relevant. I made the decision a long time ago, even when I didn't have a lot of money, that I was willing to pay what it cost to have a good, hot lunch every goddamn day that I do not have to make myself, and I consider that a cost of
The
my
thing is,
life.
it's weird how near Times Square I could save it was multiple dollars per day cheaper than where I am now. But anyway, so for once, I made some dinner. I cooked some dinner, and I actually brought the leftovers to work. And I was like, I finally brought the leftovers to work. Go me. I did it. I'm going to pay $0 effectively for lunch today.
My coworkers are all on a kick with that lately. Everyone's like, "Ooh, did you bring today or did you bail?"
That's what everyone at my, a lot of people at my work, they bring. The fridge is like totally
Yeah.
full.
Well,
but
one
it's like
person
I have to
brings-
actually cook and remember to do it.
Yeah, one person brings and everyone else gets impressed, like, "Whoa, you actually did it.
No, everyone,
I should do it too."
Almost everyone does it. But the thing
I don't.
is,
I go out and like sit down at a restaurant.
the day that I brought in my leftovers to eat, the microwave at work is broken, and it won't be fixed till like tomorrow. So I brought
sucks.
So I brought the leftovers home. They're in your fridge. They're in your fridge now. I'll either microwave them and leave, or go home then microwave.
See, when I would bring lunches, like the few times I would do that, I would never rely on a microwave at the remote destination. Partly because I don't like reheating things with microwaves. They tend not to. Taste
But there's
great.
certain things that it's like, yes, it's true. If I'm going to reheat, say, I don't know, like a sandwich.
I worked in a place once that had a fucking stove.
Well, we have a toaster oven I can reheat things in, but it's like if I'm going to reheat a sandwich, I'll do that in a toaster oven so it's nice and crispy.
Yeah.
Right? But if I'm going to reheat a bowl of pastas, I'm not going to do that in a toaster oven. That doesn't work. It dries out. You got to do it in the microwave. That's a microwave. Anything mushy is a microwave reheating
See,
food.
I would only ever bring lunches that were things that didn't require reheating.
I cooked a pasta for dinner, and now it's not going to magically change into a sandwich. It needs
No.
to be reheated in the microwave.
Yeah. I don't know. It was partly when I was working at that hospital. I was in Yonkers. There were Well, when I say were, there was one place you could get lunch without driving somewhere.
Oh boy.
So I would walk 20 minutes to that one place, and you know what it was? It was a sit-down Italian restaurant.
Nice.
But because it was in Yonkers, it was actually really cheap. So every day for lunch, I'd have like spaghetti or like a lasagna, or like real Italian food for like $6.
Yeah, I'm used to when in Midtown the lunches were usually like $8, so you'd end up spending $10 maybe for lunch. Down in Soho, it's like $15, and $3 a day adds up real fast.
Oh my God, if I just go to the Pret in Midtown, it's like $9 for a mediocre sandwich.
That's not enough food. The other thing is like a lot of times it's not enough foods.
Nope.
And I'm still hungry, and it's just like, that's not good.
The only thing that saves me is that there's an unlimited pantry in my job, so I can basically get free breakfast and constant snacks like bananas and stuff.
It's like up in, where I was in Midtown, I can go to the Food Emporium, which is an overpriced supermarket.
Yeah.
But you think, oh, that's an overpriced supermarket. Guess what? Down in Soho, it's a Dean and DeLuca, which is a one-percenter supermarket where like an apple is $10.
A little bit, even though the commute was longer. I miss working downtown because I could get it like go-go curry. That is plenty of food for like $6.
That's the kind of places I need for my lunch. If I had enough of those places that I didn't have to eat. I mean,
you know what the problem was? I went to go-go curry like twice a week. That's bad news. That's bad news for a lot of reasons.
That sounds like good news to me. I don't know.
It's good. Well, you know what it is? Like all things, it's good news until it's bad news.
It sounds like it's just good news.
In the immortal words of Dave Riley, the best thing in life is pooping, and the worst thing in life is too much pooping.
I think 2 go curries a week will not be too much pooping.
Yeah, the problem is I wanted to go that third time.
No. I'd be holding back at the second time.
So there's a bunch of news going on, but I do have an opening bit too, because you might have noticed we didn't live stream some of our shows recently, and then we started up again, and the one live stream we did earlier in this week, Scott was really quiet. So the deal is we've had a lot of hardware issues in the GeekNights pipeline lately because the mixer we use is hella decommissioned. Like it is to even
decommissioned. Do you know what decommissioned means?
So
do you mean deprecated or discontinued?
So it's not just discontinued. It is discontinued to the point that I can't even get support. It's actually hard to download the drivers. There's like I even tried to
download them and back them up on your NAS.
I did download. I have them backed up on the NAS. It is to the point where hardware failures, like I even contacted third-party people like Yo.
Well, that might be a problem if, Windows 11 comes out and the drivers don't work.
Yeah, I'm already at the point where I have an extra FireWire card that I know works with this thing in case the card I use doesn't work anymore. So
you might need to keep like a computer around with the old software on it in case,
I'm well, the software is Audition, luckily at this point.
I'm saying like if you say one day Windows 11 comes out, you might want to like grab a laptop that has an old laptop with a FireWire that runs Windows 10.
My only hope is that the audio hardware industry joins the modern world before this mixer dies. Because I do not want to buy another mixer because I love the hell out of this thing. And it's shocking how shitty most of the even professional audio equipment out there is if you want a digital mixer and you're not willing to spend like $8,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, I looked and I saw tons of new mixers that had lots of fancy features that could be good. For example,
but then you dive in.
They integrate with apps. They have touch screens. They don't have too many. They use software instead of having hardware controls.
But then they say things like, 24 channels, but no, it's 24x2 channels, or sometimes it's 24 analog channels, 2x2 digital.
Right, and it'll be like when you plug in the USB 3 cable, there's only 2 channels.
Because
it's just a stereo sound card, whereas a real digital mixer in Audition will actually, every single channel on the mixer will be a different line in Audition. That's literally the only feature we need. We don't need all these other features they've crammed in there like effects and shit because we're podcasting.
And
the only feature we want is that there should be at least like 4 to 8 channels in Audition all separately. That's it. That's all we need.
I use more than that. So the other things we use in the GeekNights pipeline is, the thing is we don't do it because we haven't interviewed anyone in for fuck ever.
There are other ways we can interview people, though, without doing that.
Yeah, but they're a pain in the ass. And also, I have this integrated into the room. Like, I can throw a channel into the like the speakers in the room or the headphones. I use this mixer as my sound card, and it's kind of great actually to have those capabilities. Like, I can record audio from the computer. I could actually pipe our voices into Audition and have a real-time pipeline to have the effects come back into the mixer for the live stream. But I'm actually using the old compressor for that because that's just easier. But again, like, this mixer has inserts and all that stuff. So a big part of why these mixers all suck is that all the companies that make USB mixers still just use USB 2. Like, webcams too. Like, there really aren't USB 3 webcams or USB 3 mixers.
Why don't we just make one?
Because I don't know what the market is for these. I actually asked around.
You'll find out.
So I actually asked around. I dug around in
Make
Reddit.
a Kickstarter. If there's a market, you'll get Kickstarted.
Because you might be asking,
fail.
but
and
Rim,
if you think, oh, we'll make a Kickstarter, but then we'll be one of those people who don't deliver. Because what do we know? We'll just set the goal so ridiculously high that
if we get that amount of money, we're guaranteed to succeed.
Exactly. If we get like $5 million, it's like, I think we can do it. We can, we can deliver to the people. And if we don't, then we don't do it.
But
we'll just get
I
money
asked
back.
my friends who work in like professional podcasts. I asked people who are like in studios. I even asked people at my job because where I work, we have professional recording studios. I went to the recording studio and fucking looked at what they got. It's the same shit I got. Everyone's just running the legacy hardware because it's still the best hardware. There's to this day.
But all these companies that produce this equipment have to be? Are they like? Is people buying the new equipment? Because otherwise they'd be out of business.
It seems like...
Are they not selling? Or maybe they are selling, and if those people who are buying, what are they doing?
Yeah, and it seems like...
Are they all musicians? Are they doing musicians only, and they don't care about
of the people who
radio and talk people?
A lot of the people who are at the level of sophistication that GeekNights is for audio, they primarily do live mixing. Where you need analog, you need all that crazy analog shit so the room, like the house, has good audio. Like that. But they're not really trying to record the level of quality that we're recording. They're recording the final mix. They're recording like some track inserts. It's a very different production pipeline from talk radio. Talk radio is still using this shit. Talk radio is still literally using Marantz's. I went to a professional recording studio yesterday, and what did I see sitting on the desk through the window? A fucking Marantz PMD 660. The same thing I got sitting right here that hasn't been manufactured since like 2003. So yeah, I just want this mixer to last, and I'm going to see if I can physically fix some of the ports that have died out.
You're going to break it while trying to fix it, and that's going to be the end.
Yeah, I'll cry. So
that's what's going to happen.
I did open it up, though, to take a look, and I actually looked at the schematics.
You saw fire in there? The magic smoke came out?
I could solder in there. It's not that complicated. It's pretty well documented, actually, all this stuff.
All right.
So in some other news, you might have noticed, I think I mentioned this on GeekNights a while ago, but there was a weird story that kept popping up in the real news. Like, I saw this on Fark, and then like months later, it started appearing in Crackpot News. But eventually it started appearing on like CNN and like Washington Post and like real news. And it was this story about like sonic attacks.
Didn't we talk about this on GeekNights
We
already
did.
in Cuba?
We did. So
I think the final thing I saw about that was that it wasn't actually intentional. It was some sort of accident where they just had a bunch of different equipment all set up near each other that happened to combine in a bad way,
So-
unluckily, and it's due to incompetence and not due to some genius, intentional thing.
So I read that same story, and that was the narrative.
I mean, the thing is, I don't have no. All of this was just articles. I haven't seen any actual evidence for any of this. I haven't even seen somebody like set up like in a test lab like proof that this can happen. Right?
So basically, that was a plausible explanation. It's happening in other U.S. embassies now. It's happening in China, and the U.S. just evacuated a bunch of diplomats for basically the exact same symptoms and the exact same problem.
My guess, so the more
And
realistic.
it appears that mass hysteria is ruled out. The doctors have found actual specific brain damage.
No. I'm saying is that I don't think it's caused by a say audio. I don't think just because audio is just vibrating air. I don't think vibrating air can cause brain damage.
Yes, it can.
Uh-huh.
Yes, it can.
I think that it is more likely caused by maybe a virus or a parasite or something like that. But that virus or parasite fucks with your ear, so you think you're hearing sounds you ain't hearing or something like that.
So it's not just that people are hearing sounds. There's this article actually goes into a little more explanation and a little more detail about it, but the ultrasonic attack thing is still not actually ruled out and still seems to be feasible because the deal is sound waves.
I think it's something else that causes an audio hallucination.
It's not just an audio hallucination. It's physical damage to the brain.
Yeah, the parasite or virus causes damage to your brain and gives you an auditory hallucination.
Yeah, but
this is my reasonable guess.
Yeah. So the crazy thing is that this is now happening in multiple places.
Yeah, you know what this tells me? Let's not travel to any countries that really hate the U.S. so much in case we have to end up going to the embassy.
I saw a great tweet that was like 99% of everyone outside of North America who has a Canadian flag displayed is an American. And I can feel that. I mean, Emily and I were in Australia right before the election, and it was rough even then, and now it's getting rougher.
Australia's they got their own problems.
Yeah. Oh, there's a crazy story. I didn't make my news because I don't fucking understand it or believe it about this town that has 12 people in it. In like the fucking nowhere in Australia.
Okay, was it just the word "oi" written 12 times?
So somebody disappeared from the town,
and
the government's pretty sure the town fucking murdered this dude, and all agreed to keep it quiet, and they can't prove it.
I mean, it's the only reasonable explanation, so therefore there's no reasonable doubt.
And they think they murdered his dog too. There's also a hint that
if there is no other reasonable explanation, then it's beyond reasonable doubt. That's all the evidence you need, and there's no other reasonable explanation.
That is not the standard of American jurisprudence or law, at least.
It's Australia.
It's
right.
Australia.
The law is just like,
But this story was so crazy, I didn't have time to read it enough to even talk about it. But I think the real thing we need to do is avoid U.S. consulates and embassies in countries that hate us.
That sounds good. I'll just go to some other country's embassy instead.
Yeah. But this story just, it's... You know, you'll see like a crazy story, and if you're a reasonable person, you think, that is probably not true, and I will ignore it unless I keep seeing it. This one keeps happening, and I'm getting increasingly fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe they're hoping that maybe it is like a virus or parasite, and they're hoping that the diplomat or someone will eventually meet the president and pass it on.
I mean, like, this is in the realm of that story.
Something like that.
About the Ukrainian guy who faked his own death to catch the Russian assassin.
That guy's badass. They're gonna make a movie about that probably. At least it'll be made for TV movie.
And I might watch it.
If not Hollywood movie, and it will definitely be out within like a year.
Because that story already is literally twice as crazy as you realize. Like, the story escalated.
It is 100% true.
It escalated way beyond what we already know.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I didn't read it deep in depth enough to talk about it.
I read enough.
In some other news, if you've ever been to New York, we have this huge bridge between New York and the rest of the country. It's called New Jersey. I don't know if anyone's ever been to it.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to that land bridge, you have to go over another bridge called the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge.
You can use the George Washington Bridge.
You can, but
and also technically the Verrazzano Bridge connects you to Staten Island and not to New Jersey, but Staten Island is New Jersey.
Well, so the Verrazzano Narrow Bridge and Staten Island combined is a bridge to New Jersey, which itself is a land bridge.
Right, but after you go over the Verrazzano and then over this elevated highway that allows you to not touch Staten Island like it's hot lava, you go over either the what's it called? There's the Goethals Bridge.
Yep.
And then there's the Cross something.
I don't even
Cross
remember.
Island. I forget what it's called.
I usually use the Goethals.
Yeah, it's the other one.
Anyway,
I forget what it's called.
The Verrazzano Narrows Bridge is real fucking long.
I biked over it because normally you cannot bike over it. You can only car over it. It has 2 levels.
Yep.
But if you do the 5-borough bike tour, it's like the only part of it worth doing is that you can bike on roads that are otherwise unbikeable, like the FDR and the BQE.
And it's way cool.
And then the Verrazzano. So I did it once, and that's enough. But you go over the Verrazzano, and let me tell you, I bike over like the Queensboro Bridge every day. It's like not even I don't even notice that it's a hill. the Verrazzano Bridge is it's not that, it's like, you look at the grade and it doesn't seem like it's so bad. It's like, fuck that bridge.
Yep, 2 miles later.
It is long and it's a big hump. People keep like campaigning, like, we want to put a bike path on it. I'm like, you're never gonna use that. You're gonna go up and you're just gonna turn right back around. Especially when you realize Staten Island's on the other side.
There's a kind of person who will use that.
And you're not going to be able to bike if you're trying, once you get to the other side if there
Now
was
what?
a bike path, now you can't go on the highway in Staten Island. You're going to go down and actually touch the hot lava.
Yeah, you do not want to touch Staten Island.
You're gonna bike as fast as you can back to the ferry because you ain't going back over the bridge. And get your ass back to civilization.
The Verrazzano Narrows Bridge is named after Giovanni de Verrazzano.
Some Italian guy.
So there's a bunch of crazy shit going on with this bridge and Giovanni de Verrazzano. So in the 50s, the Italian-American community was really, I guess, concerned about its image in America, and it made a concerted, funded effort to get things named after Italians all around the country.
Yeah, funded with the money from the family.
And one of those things was they wanted this bridge, which was just going to be called the Narrows Bridge, to be named after Giovanni de Verrazzano.
Why is it called the Narrows? It crosses the least narrow part.
That's actually it's the narrowest part. If you wanted to put a bridge down there, anywhere else is way less narrow.
I guess so.
And they needed a bridge there. So
We do need a bridge there.
New York and Robert Moses, like, the response to this was, who the fuck is Giovanni de Verrazzano? Because apparently Giovanni de
Good
Verrazzano
question.
is less objectionable than a lot of the explorers. Like, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of genocide in his history like certain other people. But he was really unlucky in that he discovered, for white people, a bunch of important things. He's one of the more important explorers.
I never heard about him in school.
Yeah, no one heard about him.
I heard
because
about like fucking Ponce de Leon and
he
shit.
happened
instead.
to discover
We
all
all
these.
learned about Spanish explorers.
He happened to discover all these things in the 1500s while Magellan and the conquistadors were happening. So everyone paid attention to all that nonsense and ignored the fact that he basically discovered, like, New York Harbor for white people.
Didn't Henry Hudson discover?
No, that was way later, and you're one of those people. Hey, Verrazzano's reputation, quote, I'm quoting Wikipedia, was particularly obscure in New York City, where the 1609 voyage of Henry Hudson was regarded as the de facto start of European exploration of New York, even though Giovanni de Verrazzano mapped all that shit in, like, 1519.
Fuck you, school.
Yeah.
You're telling me wrong.
So nobody remembered this dude at all. And New York City was like, why the fuck would we name it after him? And the Italian community was like, because here's a pile of money. Shut up. We spelled it wrong. They fucked up and spelled it with one Z. And when they realized it, it was too late to change it. So
that's why it has two, and it's supposed to have three
it's
Z's.
supposed to have two Z's. It only has one.
I thought it had two Z's.
Yeah, apparently a lot of people think it only has. Apparently, this is why this is the news.
I'm pretty sure it has two Z's.
This is why this
I've
is
never
the
seen a
news.
sign with only one Z on it.
So, this is the news. June 7th, 2018. There is a bill in the New York State Senate Assembly that just passed unanimously.
Wait, the Senate Assembly?
Sorry, the New York State Senate passed the bill
Okay.
unanimously that would correct the spelling of the name and add
Well,
the
even
second
Simcha
Z.
Felder voted yes.
Yeah, unanimous to
Ooh.
add a Z to the name of the Verrazzano
I thought
Bridge.
it had two Z's already.
Yeah, not only did it not, but it's been spelled wrong forever, and
For almost 100 years.
the statue at the base of the fucking bridge that was made at the same time as the bridge was spelled correctly
Oh,
with
okay.
two Z's.
All right.
It's spelled correctly.
I feel like all the green highway signs have two Z's on them.
Yeah,
Am I
go
just
back and look.
Am I remembering wrong because I know how to spell?
I think
And my
it's the
brain,
Mandela effect.
My brain just transforms a misspelled word into a correctly spelled word when I look at it.
I think
Now
it's the Mandela
I
effect.
can't even go over and look because I don't have a car.
Yeah, so the bill was now sent to the assembly where it must pass, and then Cuomo will have to sign it.
Well, the assembly
Apparently,
will, the assembly will vote yes.
apparently they tried to do this earlier this year, and the assembly didn't fucking vote yes.
The assembly is usually like the one who votes yes all the time, and everything gets held up in the Senate.
I cannot for the life
The
of me
assembly actually has voted for things like universal health care for all New Yorkers, and the Senate won't vote on it.
So I cannot
Why
understand.
is this the opposite situation?
I do not know, and no one will tell me. And my research came up with
This makes
nothing.
no sense.
Yeah, this is the first time in New York State history where the New York State Senate did something right, and the Assembly is doing something
And why
wrong.
do we need a law to fix spelling?
Uh,
Whoever, like the DOT or the Port Authority should just fix it. They don't
yeah,
need it. Why do they need a law for that?
This is my more meta argument. Why the fuck does New York State have any fucking say in anything we do down here? That is what I'm actually mad about.
But I mean, why is you even need a law to make the name of a bridge? Can't just the Port Authority or MTA, whoever runs the bridge, it's a Port Authority bridge.
The Outer Bridge Crossing is the other one.
Yeah, that's the other one.
Thanks to Amanda.
Okay.
Okay, I think we killed enough time on the news with that.
Why is Amanda watching GeekNights? Are you at work?
We got 7 people watching.
Or just something better to do?
People like the live stream. What do you want? Also, the new production pipeline seems we're working okay. I think the audio's better. All right. Right, we're talking about Indian food. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, things of the day. So I found this video. It's like 10 minutes long where this dude is like, I'm going to make a bike where the entire frame is made out of springs.
That will not work. The bike will just go blorp and fall over.
And this video is an exploration
You will have a sculpture made that looks like a bike that is made of springs that will be impossible to ride and it will not stand up.
This
without
video
help.
basically tracks a long journey of this person trying to make a bike where the frame consists entirely of springs and failing in most of the endeavor.
Yes.
And it's pretty funny and pretty interesting. There's points where he's talking to people who manufacture springs, and like that Simpsons episode where Molman is like, I need the biggest seed bell you've got. No, that's too big. He's talking to people who make industrial springs where he's like, I need the stiffest spring you got. And they're like, yeah, so we have a $40,000 spring that's a foot wide. And he's like, okay, let's back it off a little bit. And eventually, he is able to replace the entire core of the frame of the bicycle with springs.
Yeah,
And
not the whole frame, just basically like the top bar and
the 3 bars.
Yeah.
He made one where the struts for the front tire were made of springs, and it did not. It was unbikeable.
Yes, I think what someone should do though, this is a stupid idea. I think, right?
This is all stupid.
It's cute, but I think would be much cooler would be to make a bike entirely of shocks, because then the springs would do what they're supposed to do and only spring in the one axis and not wobble a bike sideways.
Yeah.
Right.
Watching him ride this thing when he finishes it, it's just like
so you would have you have a bike that is flexible forward and back and up and down in certain dimensions, but you wouldn't have like the front part of the bike going warp to the left or the right, making it unrideable. And I think that would actually be. It probably still wouldn't work too well, but it could actually be way comfortable. Like the bike would get longer or shorter as necessary, right? You could, depending on how the stiffness of the springs, I would probably just use.
Yeah, but then you run into problems.
I would use adjustable pneumatic shocks. That way you could ease up certain ones and stiffen other ones so that you can get the bike just right. It would probably be the smoothest fucking ride. You probably wouldn't even feel the ground.
At that point, I want a computer-controlled active ground cancellation bike.
The only reason I think that won't work is because you won't have enough. You'll carry a battery big enough to power the computer and such.
Yeah.
Because all the sensors you would need, and plus, it's like
just plug it in. Really long extension cord.
It would be a tank-like bike.
But this video is pretty funny because in the end, he does make a functioning bike that has 3 springs.
Barely for some definitions of function.
He's able to ride it. Like, look, it's going.
Sure.
He's pedaling.
Uh-huh.
It's going.
Barely.
And he explores fully what this bike is capable of. And it's
not much.
Nope. But up.
I think that just making a gif of that one but up part, I think illustrates the whole thing. That's all you need to see.
So you got a thing of the day?
I got 2 things of the day. Why not? One of them is just a GIF I saw on Twitter of this dog. He float.
Oh, he float.
And I wanted when I saw this GIF, it had such a profound impact on me. I wanted to immediately leave work and float. And I'm still considering just leaving here and floating. I can just go. They won't stop me. If I just go to the airport and give them my credit card, they will take me to a place where the water is warm. They will not object. No one will stop me. And then when I get there, I can give my credit card to someone else, and they will give me a place to sleep and float.
Yep. And you can
That's
keep
a
floating.
thing that will happen.
You can keep floating until one day that person comes back and says, "Sir, your credit card was declined."
And then I will go back to the airport. It could happen. I could do it. I'm thinking about it. But anyway.
The water at Sandy Hook is 68 degrees.
That's too cold.
We are 5 degrees away from the bare minimum I'm willing to put my body in that water. We are 10 degrees away from I will swim.
So I went to, here's my real thing of the day. It's not just a gift. So, I pretty much have, sometimes you get, in a consumer materialist mood and you start buying stuff, right?
Yeah, it's always
So-
that thing when I go to Amazon to buy like a serious thing, I start looking at other serious purchases I've
Right.
been holding
So
off
the thing
on at
is,
the same time.
a while ago, like a year or two ago, I bought basically every kind of camera that I'd ever need in my life, and I actually used them all. None of them became bowling balls. I did a good job of buying exact amount of camera stuff that I use it all to the correct degree where I don't regret buying
Yep.
any of it, and I didn't buy too much. And as soon as I bought like enough, I lost all desire to buy more camera stuff. Like I have no desire to buy another lens or camera because I
Yep.
already have every single situation I've got covered except for taking photos of space, which I can't do.
Well, like GeekNights, once
And if I had to, I would just rent.
I would keep reading about microphone. Once we bought the Countryman and these beta mics, I've got every microphone I'll need forever. Maybe I'll get one shotgun mic,
Yeah.
and I'm good for life.
Anyway, but I then discovered the other day someone posted one of those GIFs where it's like, it animates a little bit, like to the left and right, it wiggles, and it looks
Yeah.
3D, right? It's one of those wiggling GIFs that looks 3D, but it's not.
I like those.
Yeah, and usually there's
My
different.
phone can just make them.
I know a lot of people make them using different techniques.
Well, my phone has 2 cameras, so.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of different techniques for making them, but apparently this person, did it with a thing called a Nimslo, and I was like, what the fuck is a Nimslo? A Nimslo is apparently this old camera. There's another cheaper version that's like a Konica something or whatever, but the Nimslo is the good one, where it's a 35 millimeter film camera. It just has 4 fucking lenses on it with 4 shutters.
Oh, and it makes lenticular prints.
And you take a picture, and when you take a picture, it uses the amount of space on the film that would normally be used for 2 normal 35 millimeter shots, and it basically cuts each frame in half and uses 2 frames. So if you have a roll of film that has 36 shots, you would get 18 shots, right, with this, and each shot gives you 4 slightly different angles on the same thing. It's a completely automatic camera. It requires basically no focus, autofocus. No, you don't got to do anything. All you just push the button, and if it's too dark, you put a flash on it. You don't got to adjust the f-stop. You don't got to adjust the shutter speed. You don't got to do
Yep.
nothing. You just aim it and shoot. It takes 4 shots, slightly different angles of the same thing simultaneously.
Oh, just lens.
And then-
Lens.
When you get home, you scan your 4 shots in Photoshop. You put them on 4 layers. You put them on top of each other, and you tell Photoshop, "Hey, make an animated GIF. Go frame 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, and then you're back to 1 again, and then loop it, and then you've got one of those things." And I kind of wanted this, and it's only like for like a new one in box from the olden days that was never open is like $250 on eBay. So
Yeah, it looks like before
$250 is probably too much.
Before the era of GIFing, people would use this camera to make physical versions of that with the lenticular print.
Well, people would use this in the olden days. I think there was actually a way to make an actual 3D image somehow developed. Where,
Yeah,
you would
lenticular
look-
printing.
You would look at it with, the piece of plastic on it with the ridges.
That's called lenticular printing.
Oh, okay.
Look here. See that?
Yeah. So I don't know how to print one of those things with the ridges, but yeah, I kind of want this. I haven't bought it yet, but I kind of
Lenticular
want
printing got pretty cheap toward the end of the 90s. Like I recall there was a
it. Yeah,
there was
now I
some-
haven't seen it hardly at all recently.
It's coming back.
I feel like
for-
because everyone looks at things on a screen, so there's no interest in having a still image on a piece of.
So from what
paper.
I gather, relatively recently, like in the last few years, there was a further advance where it's way fucking cheap to print this. So people are starting to make like small, low-key, cheapo merch, like keychains and things that has lenticular printing again. Because now it's in the realm of like, GeekNights could make a thing pretty cheaply and just do it.
All right, well, go buy me a Nimslo so I can.
Yeah, I'll buy you an Imslo after I buy a new camera for GeekNights.
I'm telling you which one to buy already.
No, I'm getting a camcorder.
Okay.
I want an actual camcorder. The features of a camcorder compared to the features of a Micro Four Thirds just like real camera that can do video.
The only real feature that the camcorder offers is the larger shape of it. The physical object
Yeah,
is
the
bigger.
integrated XLR and all that's just built in.
I mean, yeah, you can get one of those as a little thingy attached on top.
Yeah, this is just built into the camera body. I don't have to
And
put
you-
anything
yeah,
on top.
as a built-in ND filter. Otherwise, they're really it's actually
Built-in video lens. I don't need to get like a expensive lens to go with it.
most
It
of the
just
good
comes with one.
camcorders have lens mounts on the front these days, not built-in lenses.
Depends on which one. I'm looking at the
But
Sony
usually
and the
they're-
Panasonic.
Usually they're worse video quality.
They're
which
pretty.
is-
There's
and
a
they're larger and
there's a
heavier.
new Panasonic one that just came out with a 1-inch sensor that's pretty good.
1 inch is way small.
Yeah, but for what I need, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a full frame camera. We're not
No,
making.
I don't have a full frame camera either. But
I will
Micro
never
Four
own a
Thirds
full
is
frame
just
camera.
fine.
In the better moment, the GeekNights Book Club book is Emily Wilson's translation of The Odyssey
Mm-mm.
by Homer.
I read all the the famous parts with the sirens and all.
Yeah, I got to catch up then. We got to finish it. If you're reading at that rate, I'll finish the book.
Also, that part is for being the most famous part. That is the most
Pretty
often
short?
adapted. Is like less than a page long.
Yep.
It's like all that stuff happens in this one chapter, and it's like people think that that's the whole Odyssey. That's like a few pages of. The
I think it's just
Odyssey.
American kids in high school. They only read like 3 sections of the Odyssey.
No, I think it's that popular culture adapted this one part of the Odyssey so heavily
Yep.
and ignored all the other parts.
But most of the people we talked to, like Geek Nights fans who were like reading the book with us, none of them remembered any of this Telemachus stuff. Like they don't remember everyone thinks the book starts with
The point is,
Odysseus being tired of having
you
sex
know
with the goddess.
Odyssey, or if you read the pop-up book, you should read this real new adaptation of the book so you can actually understand what the whole deal is, because I bet you don't.
Yep, and we're gonna do a whole show on it, and we're gonna assume you
Also,
read
I
it.
hope she finishes that Iliad, because all this does is make me like want to read the Iliad
I
instead,
wanna
because
read
that's where all the Agamemnon
Anything
and
she
the,
translates.
Achilles is.
I'm going to
Those
read.
are my boys. This doesn't have my
literally-
boys in it so much.
I'm gonna read if she does more Greek stuff, I'll read it all.
What if she translates?
Antigone?
No, the story of Rim El Pupo.
If there's a story about me written in ancient Greek, I feel like I need to read it.
Yeah, it talks about how awful you are. You're the worst.
Have you read?
Once there was a Rim, he was the worst. The end.
Have you read like Antigone or like any of that stuff?
I think the one I actually want to read is this. What was it? I forget what it is. Some guy with an X in his name, and it's a story about like
Xenophon?
It's one of those.
The Xenophon stuff?
It's one. I forget what it was.
I think you're thinking of Xenophon.
There's something like that. It was a story about like traveling through Turkey or something on some sort of adventure. Apparently, a lot of stuff is based on this story. Oh, the one that the Warriors is based on.
Okay, I went to Xenophon's Wikipedia
No, go to the
article.
Wikipedia page for the Warriors, the movie, and the Warriors is based on a book, and the book is based on an ancient story.
Oh, right. You sent me a link to that before.
You know, Warriors, right? Because it's about traveling through. It's about going on this difficult journey, right?
Yeah.
To escape, which is what about the Warriors is about, and so.
All right. Well, let's hope Emily Wilson translates all this stuff. Otherwise, you should follow both me and Scott on YouTube because we both are uploading.
And also Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, but
and
YouTube in particular because we made a new Geek Nights Presents Utena. We uploaded our last talk from PAX. We're uploading a lot of our panels. We're doing Judge Anime by its cover. We're doing Geek Nights Presents board games. There's a lot of Geek Nights content on YouTube. We'll never abandon the podcast, but kids today
Tomorrow,
pretty much
Rim
only go to
abandons
YouTube.
podcast. The end. Geek Night's over. This is the last episode, guys.
The kids are on YouTube, so that's where a lot of our stuff is.
No, there he goes. He's coughing. That's at the end.
Blah. All right, let's see. I guess Indian food it is. Oh, there's like 11 people watching. All right.
People, do something else. Go make something instead of listening to this.
Maybe they're remixing us right now. They're doing their own live stream
You should be doing that.
of us
If anyone who's
with their
if
commentary.
any one of those viewers is actually using the Creative Commons license and is restreaming us with commentary of what we are
I want to
saying,
see the Retsu
then
play of Geek Nights.
you are not wasting your time. Good job. I applaud that, and I want to listen to it.
So full disclosure, we do a lot of shows on food. Like that's the thing we do on
That's
Thursdays.
on Thursday we run out of ideas. That's what happens. So send us your Thursday ideas.
But I want to be very clear.
Any show idea that requires no research and is not technology, gaming, or anime, or comics, or manga related.
You know what I could do again? I could let the Patreon just vote on it. But if they vote on something bad, it's their fault if we do a bad show.
I don't want to make a bad show though.
But then we'll blame it on them. They paid for that episode.
I'm actually not too worried about making a bad show. I'm worried about sitting here and saying nothing.
Yeah.
Because then there's no show.
But I feel like our thing is that it doesn't matter what the topic is. We can somehow end up talking forever.
I mean, we could find a tangent and talk about
That's all we
something
need.
else.
The first 4 years of Geek Nights was just, well, we're going to talk about tangent. 40 minutes of tangent.
But then I feel like I didn't do the show on the thing I said I was going to do the show on.
Doesn't matter. We just got to make a show.
We just change the show title later on.
Yeah.
Re-record the intro.
It's just Geek Nights Thursday. They're all just called Geek Nights Thursday. The Lounge.
Sure.
So, full disclosure, though, we are not Indian.
No.
We are not authority as an Indian food.
No.
I don't actually know that much about Indian food.
No.
I'm not even going to pretend that I know the regional differences of Indian food.
Nope.
With the caveat that I do know a little bit about Hyderabad food because
Because you went there.
Because I spent I have probably spent a total of like 5 or 6 months in Hyderabad over the years. Like I've spent a lot of time in Hyderabad. I love Hyderabad food. And the way I will describe food from Hyderabad is that, when you get Indian food and it's really spicy?
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to Hyderabad and you get the non-spicy food, it's that spicy.
Mm-hmm.
If you get the spicy Hyderabad food, you're dead. You're done. That's it. It's game over.
But are there people in Hyderabad eating that spicy food?
Oh, they're eating that food and they're complaining about how it's not that spicy.
Uh-huh.
The first time I was in Hyderabad, I was warned.
Why don't we send Judith there?
I was worried the food was spicy because I was warned from my friends in Mumbai. They're like, yeah, just be warned. Hyderabad food is spicy.
I'm sure there are people, though, who live... people tend to think that when someone comes from a country that is known for its spicy food, they think like, oh, Thai people, they can all eat spicy food.
No, some people don't.
There's plenty of Thai people who can't eat spicy food, and there's plenty of Thai food that's not spicy, and they just eat that. It's not like... It's like, even though a country has spicy food and is known for it, don't mistakenly think that all the people there love the spicy food. I'm sure there's people in Hyderabad who don't eat the spicy food and ask for mild food, right?
No, as a
and there's
tangent,
nothing wrong with that.
There's a Thai place near us called Tuk Tuk, and one cool thing about
That's a good place.
It is a real good place. They have a special menu, like on the back page. They have a menu that is 5 or 6 Thai dishes that are not in any way Americanized.
Mm-hmm.
There's no substitutions. They explain what they are. They explain the history. You can order them, but they make it very clear if you are unable to eat it, it's your fucking fault. No refunds.
Mm.
And
I mean, isn't that the true with all restaurant food?
nah.
If I go to a place, unless the food is like poison or has, metal shards in it or glass, I don't expect a refund.
Yeah, but I find that most places
or uncooked or something, right?
I think the reason is
it's got to be really messed up for me to ask for my money back.
I think in this case, the reason is white folk will order this food and it is too spicy for them and then they can't eat it.
Well, that's your own fault.
Yep. So the menu is like, listen, kid, this is actual Thai food.
That's right.
But so yeah, I got some like lamb biryani because I was like, biryani.
I have some of that in my fridge.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
know
reheat it
biryani
tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah, Hyderabad is known specifically, which I did not know then, for its fucking spicy biryani. And I was defeated by this dish in the hotel.
If I'm gonna travel to a country that doesn't speak it English, right? Even if the people there do speak English, even though that's not their primary language,
Yep.
I'm always gonna make sure that the phrase I gotta learn is always, "Please serve me your local specialty," in whatever language it is, and I'll just go there. And as long as it's not a thing that I don't eat, which is a very short list, like octopus and dolphin and whale and anything too
Scott,
smart, monkey brain.
We gotta
As long as it's not one of those things, it's just like, bring it on. I want to eat whatever your best thing is and however you eat it. And if it kills me because it's too spicy, all right.
If
I went out good.
If Turkey calms down and is safe to travel to again, and maybe
the U.S. is hardly calmed down and safe to travel to.
Yeah, but
what are you talking about, Turkey?
If that is what you want, Istanbul is the place to go.
Uh-huh.
You want like any restaurant you go to as an American, they're gonna be like, do you want to try our delicacy? Do you want they're really into the specific river fish that they get right there in Istanbul?
Sounds good.
It's so good. I think of all the places I've traveled in my life, Istanbul had the best food.
Right. But anyway, India. So back in the day, I was not a big fan of Indian food. I've always been a person, not always, but at least in my adult life, I've always been a person who was willing to try any food.
Oh yeah,
right? It's
Indian food was just very rare because I grew up in the Midwest in a suburb.
It was my family was. It's weird because when I was a kid, I was. My brother was, super picky, like French fries and,
I remember that.
right,
We'd all eat steak, and he'd have his chicken.
Right, you have like a piece of chicken nuggets and French fries, kind of. It seems to be a thing a lot of picky eaters do, right?
Yep.
But anyway, I was less picky, but I was more picky than like my parents. But when I became an adult and moved out and was able to eat a different food and not the food that was, given to me or available in a suburb, I was like, oh, other food is good. And now my parents and my family are way pickier than I am. But, even though I was willing to try any food once, right, at least, when I tried Indian food, I wasn't really that into it. It's like I remember I was like, I think we were living in Beacon, and there was that Indian place next to the Dragon's Den, right?
Oh yeah, that place is pretty good.
I went there, like a few times with those because that's where people were eating after playing games at the Dragon's Den, right?
Yep.
So I would go there, but the food there wasn't really that, it wasn't doing it for me so much, right? So I wasn't that into Indian food. But you know what? A lot of people out there, when they don't like a food, right, they just refuse to eat it. But it's like, I'm like, all right, listen, I don't like this, but, it's not going to poison me. All right. And, the group would be, the whole crew would get together and be like, Indian food. And I'd be like, I don't want to go Indian food. Right? But then I would go because I wasn't going to be a baby, right? Like some people are. If you're, I'm not going to say any names. But
you know who you are.
You know who you are. People who say, no, I'm not eating that. I mean, obviously, allergies, vegetarians, vegans, that's all valid excuses,
yeah.
right? Things like that, right? I'm talking about...
things I don't like. Like, I don't like natto. I'm just...
Yeah, I don't like natto either. But you know what? If everyone's like, hey, let's go to the natto place, I'm not going to be that, socially ruining person.
Oh, yeah, I'll go. Maybe I'll abstain
go
from eating.
And I'll order a natto and begrudgingly eat it slowly like an adult.
That's the one difference between us. You'll begrudgingly eat. I'm perfectly willing to go hungry.
Oh, you'll go hungry and not even eat the natto?
I will happily go hungry rather than eat food I don't like.
The other thing I'll do is I'll find something on the menu to eat if there is, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially, like, a lot of times...
That's the thing I don't understand. The kind of person who can go to a restaurant and there's not one goddamn thing on the menu they'll eat.
Even if I go to, like, a super seafood restaurant, there's always, like, one steak on there.
Yeah.
Right?
There's always the baby meal. There's always a hamburger.
I wouldn't do that, but anyway.
Kitty meal, chicken nuggets.
The point is that I'm trying to make is that, I was not a big fan of Indian food, even though I had tried quite a few different dishes. There were some things I liked, like who doesn't like a naan, right? Nice bread.
Yeah.
But, I wasn't into it. But
gluten intolerant people.
People kept, but I'm sure they like it. They just can't eat it.
Yeah, that is true.
We kept going to eat it over and over again, and I kept trying different things there and discovering new things new things on the Indian, restaurant menus, and trying different styles of Indian food. And now I order Indian food on my own for delivery.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the thing is a lot of people who don't like a thing and they don't even want to try it. And it's like, just keep begrudgingly eating it and develop a taste for it. Now,
well, I've noticed
a lot
in
of
particular, there's a thing where people will try food that is from a particular region or ethnicity or nation. And if they don't like it, they assume that region's food is all that exact thing they just tried to eat, and too bad.
Imagine if someone tried a hamburger.
They're like, oh, American food.
I don't like American food, so now they won't try fried chicken.
Yep.
Which is American food also, right? It's like, that's not right. Another thing I think that happens is the people get a bad first impression and pass a judgment.
Yep.
And unlike anime, where you can totally do that just fine, they'll try, they'll try a fruit. And that fruit that they try for the first time, this new fruit, maybe it's like
durian.
Not a durian. They'll try like a mango for the first time, and they'll try a mango that's not ripe and delicious.
Oh my God, Scott.
And then they'll judge all mangoes, and now they won't drink a mango lassi.
So Scott, I know you don't watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but there's a scene that is relevant to your interests, where basically there's one guy who's like never been outside of Philly in his entire life.
Okay,
that's his deal. Like, he's a character. Like, imagine
when I was in Florida in the '90s, like late '90s, or maybe it was even early 2000s. I needed a haircut because it was too hot, and I still had hair. and I just went to a rando haircut place, and the lady who cut my hair, who was in her 40s or something at the time, I just went wherever. She told me she was like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, I'm from, I guess I don't know if I was in New York or Connecticut, but whatever. But she's like, hey, I never left Florida in her whole life. And she was like 40 or 50 something.
I mean, I read a statistic a while ago that a good 20% of Americans have never lived outside of the county they were born in.
But I mean, she'd never left, period, traveled.
No.
Not even in a car, not even to Georgia.
Well, at least New York City, I'm more willing to accept why someone might live that way. Because I've been outside of New York City.
I'm just saying.
But, so this dude who's never been outside of Philly, they're having some like normal Steinfeld-style conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out he's never had a pear. Doesn't even know what a pear is. He's just never encountered one. So they're like, you got to eat a pear. And they like stop at a market and they're like, buy a pear from like a dude. And they hand it to him. He bites into it. And he's like, no, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. They're like, it's a pear. What do you not like about it? He's like, it's sandy and bland. And then they look and like, oh, it's not a ripe pear. And they have this whole thing about the pear.
It's true. See, pears are one of those things where they're only good if you get the right variety of pear and it's perfectly ripened the right amount. Otherwise, it just tastes like a nothing fruit. If it's ripe, then it's a sweet and sugary fruit. But the thing about pear is that unlike other fruits, it doesn't sort of have a flavor to go along with its sweetness. It's literally like just sweet, and that's it.
It tastes like pear.
Yeah, but pear doesn't have a strong flavor the way, say, certain apples have a strong...
But then there's
if you want to really taste...
There's certain other apples that just taste like sweet.
Yes, it's true. But all pears.
Looking at you, Red Delicious. You're the worst apple.
Exactly. But the point is, if you want to taste really good pear, the best way to taste the best pear, just get canned pear. Get canned pear bits in pear juice at the store and just eat it with a spoon. And that is probably the best pear that you will eat.
When I was a kid, I would just open up a can of canned pears and just eat it right out of the can.
There were actually at the grocery store when I was a kid, there was actually they sold canned pear as like as snack, as like a pack of 4.
Oh yeah, I had those too.
I ate those like every day. I'd open up a can of pear and eat it.
So in high school,
and then I drink the juice.
Instead of bringing the small canned pear with the little like pry off
you got
lid,
the big like
I brought the big one and a can opener. And I would just eat it.
I do that with pineapple these days.
Ooh.
If I don't buy a whole pineapple, I'll buy a can of pineapple. It comes in rings. Anyway, Indian food. So
Indian food.
The point I was trying to make earlier about developing a taste for something, right, is a lot of people make the argument, oh, you could develop a taste for alcohol or develop a taste for smoking and all these harmful activities. And it's like, no, because those are harmful activities. Don't develop a taste for them. But something like Indian food is not harmful. It's good for you and delicious. So even if you don't like it at first, you should try to develop a taste for it because it will benefit you in life and also bring you joy without harming you. So, if there are things in life that are good and would be good if you like them, even if you don't like them originally, you should try to develop a taste for them. Maybe you don't like sci-fi novels. Well, try to read it. They're good, so try to read a few. Maybe you'll develop a taste for them. You should at least try a little bit. Indian food, you should try. Drugs, no, don't. Don't develop a taste for them, even if you could.
So, depending on the drug, I mean... My dad was really excited about his medical marijuana card.
I'm talking like, don't develop a taste for heroin, guys.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Even though you could get used to shooting yourself up, do not. But do get used to curry, because it's delicious, even if you don't like it at first. Maybe try again.
We've already been going for like an hour.
Have we?
Yeah.
We didn't talk about any Indian foods, though.
Let's go through it. Let's just do a best of an Indian food.
All right, so
we're only talking about our personal
Well,
preferences.
we gotta start with Rim, Mr. Samosa.
The samosa. I fucking love samosa.
They are delicious.
Oh my god.
First of all,
good.
First of all, it's fried. So it's got this fried shell, which is delicious. And inside the fried shell is
chickpeas.
Yeah, inside the fried shell is potato. Like mashed potato.
Potato and chickpeas are two of my favorite things on earth.
And in that potato, it's not just potato. It's potato that's been flavored up with all kinds of spices and shit. So it looks all yellow or green.
So good.
Or yellow and green. And then the potato is filled with like peas and chickpeas and other delicious naughty bits that are in that potato. And then it's all been fried and it's nice and warm and toasty. And then you dip it in either the red stuff, which is sweet and fruity, kind of almost
I'm more a
barbecue-y,
fan of the green stuff these days.
or the green stuff. And you know what when I get samosa, when you order delivery, they give you 2 samosas.
Do you dip in both alternatingly?
And they give you a red and they give you a green. And you know what? I randomly pick one or based on my mood. And I eat the first samosa in that. And then the next day, I heat up the other one and eat it in the other cup. So I have I think the last one I got red, so I got a green one in the
that's
fridge.
the difference. Emily and I, when we order Indian food, we get a samosa. It comes with 2. We each eat one.
Mm-hmm.
There's never one left over.
I got a leftover. I'm only one person.
So in terms of naan, garlic naan is one of my favorite foods on earth.
I mean, I like all naans, and I sort of just keep picking different flavors of naan. I'll even eat the plain naan. You get more naan flavor. Because a lot of times, the onion naan or a garlic naan will cover up the bread flavor.
But you need the naan to scoop the food together to finish it. I do like the rosemary naan quite a bit.
That's my least favorite naan, maybe. Cheese naan is the naan that I think I like a lot, but I don't go for it too often because it's too powerful.
Yep.
It's too filling and strong.
Same with
and
the
heavy.
puri.
Oh, the puri
is one of my favorite things.
The puri feels, when you order a puri, you feel like you're wasting your money because you're paying basically a lot of money for a lot of nothing.
It's basically a bread balloon.
Yeah, it's like so thin. It feels like eating like just the crust of a bread. Like you're peeling the crust off of a bread.
But it's so good.
And only eating the crust. But yeah, it's basically just a balloon of bread, and you pop it, and then you eat it, and it's delicious.
I'm in terms of like core Indian food, like main dishes. I think the sags are my favorite types. The green spinachy, maybe with the cheese, like that. That's my go-to. Not the chicken tikka masala. That's like the American default Indian food.
I actually like a chicken tikka masala. But
I do too.
Some
but
places don't spice it up enough, and it's just bland as hell.
Yeah.
You got to have a place where it's, it doesn't need to be hot spicy, but it needs to have lots of, aroma going on. And some places do it, and some places make it bland, super bland, and it's not good.
I like the Rogan Josh too, but sometimes it's too spicy.
I like a Rogan Josh.
Sometimes it gets a little too spicy for me.
No, that's not too spicy. The thing that gets too spicy for me is what's it called? Chicken.
The chicken what?
Where it's all covered in the hot red stuff, where it's like just super on fire.
Not the tandoori chicken.
No, the tandoori chicken is the one where it's not in a curry, right? It's just on its own.
Yep.
And you put that in a nice yogurt sauce. I love that.
Probably
That's
my
great.
favorite, actually my favorite thing to eat, but I can't anymore because I'm old and I get heartburn, is like tandoori chicken and biryani together. But as an adult, that is too powerful. That is too much.
I'm just bringing up the menu here.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the Wikipedia. I'm just getting real hungry looking at all this Indian food.
Let me see which one.
I guess the meta point is that I actually don't know enough about Indian food. And
Vindaloo, that's the one that's too.
Yeah,
Vindaloo is delicious. I love Vindaloo. I'll order it sometimes, but that actually usually, it doesn't go into so hot that I'm like needing to eat snow and ice or something, but it's usually like crosses the border of my heat tolerance like by like one step, and then my head ends up breaking out into sweat, and my mouth hurts a little bit.
But I guess
even
when
though
I
it's
go
so tasty.
When I'm at a good Indian restaurant or I'm ordering from a place in New York, there's a lot of options. And I don't know that much about Indian food in that depending on what I order, I might not actually be 100% sure exactly what I'm going to get. And
I've never been
I don't
steered
care.
super wrong.
I'm always weirded
I know that
out.
I'm going to get some kind of meat, probably in some kind of sauce or curry or something, and I'm going to put it on rice.
And based
and
on
then
some
eat
of the
it.
words, I might have a vague idea like something sag. It's going to be the green stuff. But I'm always weirded out when we go to Indian places.
Korma, it's going to be like the yellow, white stuff, right?
The dal, I really love dal. Oh my God. Dal's like my go-to, really. But a lot of people we know, a lot of people I've encountered over the years, they won't order anything from any restaurant, let alone an Indian place, unless they know every detail of exactly what is in it.
No, like I said, if you're allergic or have some sort of dietary restriction,
They're not allergic.
that's
They don't
completely
have
understandable.
dietary.
Right. But if you don't have that kind of restriction, not just Indian food, you just order whatever, don't ask them to change it. Everything on the menu is delicious. It wasn't delicious. If no one liked it, they wouldn't put it on there. Just keep ordering stuff and keep trying.
This has been a problem, though. Sometimes we've gone out with a lot of people to get some Indian food, and I don't remember what I ordered, and I don't care what I get.
Nope.
So whatever plate ends up in front of me, I just eat. And sometimes I've eaten someone else's dish, and then they come out with the thing I ordered, and I'm in trouble.
Oh, well. Oh, the last thing we can't neglect to mention, which I already mentioned a little bit, is
Mango lassi?
the mango lassi, the king of...
Pro mode is the rose lassi.
No, that's your promo.
But
I don't like the rose lassi.
You're really only supposed to get that for like weddings? But there's a few places I know in New York that'll serve that. And I always get it if it's on the menu. It's so good.
I do not. I get the regular mango lassi. I don't want to eat no roses.
I do like the gulab jam, the fried dough soaked in sweet water with cardamom. Like that thing. I like that a lot too.
I mean, roti is also good. You go to a nice roti shop. But the thing is, a roti, usually the other Indian foods that we've talked about, that's like you're getting dinner, right? Roti is something I'll get for lunch or like, you know, I'm just going in real quick. I need some snack. I'm biking. I'll stop at the I see a roti shop and I'm like, whoa, give me that roti. And then I'm on my way.
All right. Now I'm too hungry. I think we're ending the show.
Okay, good.
All right.